Alright, okay. Okay, I think we're set. Let me make sure everything's still working. Good, that's working. That's working. It was really weird, chat. I had to restart everything because for some reason this camera wouldn't recognize the controller analog. That was weird. Howdy, Xavier. Good to see you in the chat. And hey, I-Man. Am I me or am I not to be me? I think I-Man will always be I-Man. That's where I stand. Alright, let's see. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, we were here, too, so you can see everything, too. Oh. Well, well. Hey, little church lord. Good to see you, too. So they do have chairs for Mesmer and stuff that are, like, specific to Mesmer. There you go. Man, how weird. Having my game not automatically freeze the moment I press the screen cap button. I don't know why it's on Dark Souls 3 specifically that's happening. There we go. There we go. Yeah, they got it all. So yeah, it's very clearly supposed to be like Mesmer-specific chairs. I still believe Merica in trailer pulls strings out from Metter. From Metter, you think? Interesting. I don't think I've seen that one quite yet. You know how I feel about, grace points being here, but... yeah, I think something like this would be fine. Let's get the zoomed in one, though, just in case. I like that better. There you go. There we go. Ah, yes. How could I forget? There are so many things I shouldn't say that I want to say seeing this. You know, maybe the title for this stream is more appropriate than I thought. Hornsink got thrown in horny jail, I guess. For sure, Adolphus. Alright, so this is where we stopped last time because of, well, reasons. I think I have a shot of you already, so I don't think I need another one. Yeah, let's get a shot of this thing. I think this is good, chat. What do you think? Yeah, it looks nice. I don't think we need any close-ups. I think that image was clear enough. Oh. That's a terrible pose. Oh, but now you're frozen. Want to highlight the perfumer instruments? Hella fine gold you got there, Mesmer. Listen, Mesmer needs as much gold as he can get. There ain't much in this place. It's been taken by all the horn scent. They're stealing all our gold. Taking all our gold. What are we gonna do? trying to figure out which is the best angle for this. I think this. Always have the options. That thing is perfumers. Yeah, these are all perfumer items we see. Like, those are the incenser and things. We see America's Room, among other things. There's the perfumer bottles that we see, though they're made of gold in this case. I can't remember if these things were made of gold in Lingdell. I would imagine so, but the lighting, I remember, makes them look more like a bronze. But again, that's the lighting, right? It can make anything look like anything. That's why you gotta always be careful. A little higher. Yeah, a little lower. I think that looks fair. Move this a little that way. Yeah. That looks good. It's so Bloodborne Church of Healing. Oh, the Healing Church, you mean? Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the BB DLC. It sort of has that vibe to it. So, did you see what I'll cook with the DLC? Might be waiting for a while, Adolphus. That said, I do think my next stuff on Dark Souls with Ring City is going to be really good for everybody. I know how long all my readers have been waiting for me to cover the Ring City. I know from the poll, you guys were fighting over whether it would be Ring City or Londor, so poor Ariandel left in the dust. My poor Ariandel thesis has been half done for like over a year now. It's never getting done. I may as well highlight that we can kind of make out a person from this, kind of, being the operative word here. BB and Elden Ring being in the same world proven. Yep. It's all a shared universe, you see. Martin and Miyazaki, they got together and they figured out how they could make the Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne multiverse even more complicated, and then they came up with Elden Ring. It's all true. Believe me. I have an uncle at FromSoft, he told me. Good old OG-san. Hey, Night Scout. Anything else maybe here? Yeah, we'll do this. Oh. Huh. Well, let's fix that, shall we? Oh, what the hell are you doing? Yeah, get the hell out of there. There we go. Wall restored. I hope I hope it's not noticeable at any of the camera shots I took. Wait, what is with all those lamps? Were those lamps there before, chat? Now I feel like I'm gaslighting myself. I don't remember if those lights were there. Oh no. There's no heresy in joining things together. Okay, frickin' Rykard. Dog's lore. I don't see any turtles. I wonder if the living jars here can barely retain their sense of self, or if they just see the walking jar innards as fellow monsters made from people. That's an interesting question when it comes to all the monsters. Like, to what sense do they feel like any camaraderie? Like, even in like a basic sense of like, you know, like a wolf pack type of deal, right? Some type of kindred nature. Always an interesting question to ask. Uncle Giuseppe Loki Souls told me he saw shit you wouldn't believe. Worms, my boy. Worms indeed. What the fuck, Adolphus? Are you drunk again? Ring City is probably your favorite lore-wise and aesthetics. It's so hauntingly dead, plus pygmy lore. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, Londor's good as a taboo nation as well, but, like, it's one of those things where it's like, any of the 3 topics I would have been happy to talk about, because it's got things I've been desperately wanting to talk about since, like, I first got into the English community. But, like, yeah. It still amazes me just how much Ariandel lost. Like, it's like, I knew Ring City and Londor were probably going to be the favorites, but, like, it wasn't even a contest. It was straight up just a 1v1 duel. Yeah, nothing we really want here. I think I take enough shots of the specifics and things in here. I don't think there's anything we're missing. I'm never drunk, save for on good vibes. Good vibes, maybe? Vibes? Drunk on vibes? That's kind of cool. Just kind of as the contrast between, like, you know, all the decoration and the horrific monstrosity. Oh, get out of here, you piece of shit. Jarians have a grab attack where they seemingly try to absorb the victim. That doesn't seem like something a shaman would want to do if they were still themselves. I would agree. But again, it also depends, it depends, because they could be mentally broken to the point where they are still thinking that, oh, I need more, like, I need to become more perfect so that way they'll set me free, right? Like, it kind of depends on, how much you want to, like, factor in, like, the psychology of the victim in this case, right? Like, you'd argue the, cannibals at the Blight Town don't necessarily want to eat you, right? They're just so hungry, right? But, like, still have to kind of factor in, like, okay, whether or not, you know, they would truly want this in a perfect world or not, like, they're doing it, so. Are they completely insane? Oh! Well, we had to have one of those in this, stream, right? It had to happen eventually. May as well get it over with now. But yeah, so, like, if they're, oh, whoops. You oriented me the wrong way. Actually, I think I do want to go back down that route, though, so we'll do that later. Yeah. I almost got caught there, by the way. Alright, let's do this proper. Yeah, this uses the same tree thing as well. There might never have been a goal of a perfect person they'd free, though. The ultimate goal seems to be a living jar. Regardless of what the goal is, again, what matters is what the victim believes, right? In terms of, like, talking about, like, the enemy behavior. I'm kind of interested in knowing what you thought of America's early life would have been like pre-DLC before he found out that she was a flower-sniffing hippie or something. Again, my conclusion was that with what we had based on the base game, the best option was the Nameless Eternal City down below Langdell and stuff, just in terms of proximity and stuff, right? So it's like, let me go to, so it's like, okay, that thing was like, okay, so America may have come from Newman down here, right? But it would have to be a scenario where basically she has no parents or any family to speak of that are worthwhile or anything, so she somehow has to either lose them or become estranged, or they're not, for whatever reason they become irrelevant to her life, right? And then, obviously she has to have Malekith in there, so she's growing up with, like, a wolf bro. And then, she also has to have, what's the word? She also needed to basically be in a situation where she would, of course, meet Godfrey out in, like, Barbarian Land. But now we have this entire thing with the Realm of Shadows, so you just, like, kind of stitch this land onto here, right? It's like, okay, so she didn't come from here. She came from, like, here, or whatever it is, right? Like, where's that village exactly? Here. So, yeah, like... So it's like, okay, she didn't come from here. She came from, like, here, or whatever, right? Actually, because the tree's more like here, right? This is where it's... Yeah, so something like here, right? Like, that'd be, like, roughly the area. So it's like, okay. Okay. Fair enough. But yeah, I don't think, I don't think my assessment of her early life would change that much, except now we know, she had more of a grandmother figure. We don't know if she ever had a real mother and father, right? Because there's a lot of question of where the shamans get their numbers. Especially considering there's a bunch of barbarian men out there. And knowing Miyazaki, he might know a few stories and legends about witches that he might be applying here. Or him and Martin both. Either way... So there's a huge, like, there isn't really too much different there, except that we now have a clear grandmother, head mama type figure that would be help shaping Marika's early life. Marika's parents might have been jarred when she was young. Yeah, it depends on how long the Hornson have been doing the jarring thing. Again, I still have a impression that it's possible that Marika's responsible for the what happened to the shamans, but again, I haven't done the deep analysis, so no real strong opinions there. And nothing I really see in here that we haven't already gotten. I guess where is this? Because we can't open it. This is the church. This is the church zone, right? I think. Oh no, this is the back. This is the back gate. Okay. Yeah, because they don't let you open the doors and stuff. It becomes a little bit more difficult. Oh, I hate it. Might be the grandmother's probably just akin to a chieftain or revered ancestor to the shamans. Yes, but that still doesn't change the idea that she's a grandmother or mother. Like she's the communal mother figure, right? Like you don't just call like your village head or your chief like, you know, grandmama or whatever, and like that isn't like, you know, there isn't like a sense of community ties and affection there, right? Not gonna lie, I'd say that criteria applies to what we learned, save for the Nox part. I'm only sad that we got no new Malekith lore, shake my head. I mean, technically it's Malekith lore by extension, because it helps us get a better idea of, Malekith's, environment growing up with Marika, right? But, like, yeah, I'm not expecting too much with Malekith lore, because we already got the stuff about Malekith, really, so... I wouldn't really expect too much there. But again, I know what my expectations were very different from a lot of the communities, as I see with all the people who were somehow seriously expecting, like, freaking, like, resurrected, like, living in death Godwyn as a final boss. It's like, yeah, no, that was not gonna happen. I would have liked it still if we got, like, some sort of, like, Godwyn illusion, though, to show us what he was like in his prime before he became, you know, Death Prince. We also have the Knight's Armor that's a similar style to Malekith, but that's about it. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And that might have, like, some, implications about the influence, because we have to keep in mind, also, Malekith, this time that Mesmer's going on his crusade is about the time that Malekith should also be becoming known as the death of the demigods and stuff like that, right? So, that's already a thing, for sure. Also, I'm becoming more and more convinced that the whole first dead of the demigods thing really only applies to, quote-unquote, the history post-Radigan. Like, everything before Radigan's reign isn't, like, considered historical fact, so everything's put, like, in, relation to that as far as Godwyn and the other demigods are concerned. You know, just a shower thought. Nothing really crazy here, right? What are the other entrances we got, right? Because the one on the bottom floor is how we get to Churchland then, right? Yeah. So we have this one that takes us to Church Quarter. We have this here. Because they don't let you open any of the doors, I'm honestly like tempted to like look for a mod that specifically lets you open these goddamn doors. Like that really does tempt me greatly. Not too crazy about the layout, though, with all this stuff unlocked and things. Like, it's a little more straightforward than I would think. But again, I have the camera for the bird's eye view to get a wider sense of everything. Yeah, in light of the Death Knights implying Gollum might fight differently than Nameless King, a tribute construct of him, ALA, Fake Loretta, and Godfrey would have been really neat. Yeah, I agree. It doesn't have to be like, yeah, I wouldn't even have to be strong, both because it's a construct and to make gameplays that Morgott was the golden lineage's best. Yeah, regardless of what strength is or like all the power level scaling and all that, like just having a Godwyn boss like that would have been cool. And I said the same thing with Sorosh. It would have been cool if we had a Sorosh illusion to let us see Sorosh fight separately from Godfrey, right? And again, we don't know what's going to be the thing in Elden Ring in the future. They've teased the possibility of going multimedia. I've been on record before. I think Miyazaki should bite the bullet and after some time release Martin's original prose for the text, right? I know. It's not his style on his storytelling or whatever, or all the things and all that. But he himself gets like, if he's going to be all antsy on interviews and be like, man, like, it's so good, I really want to share it or whatever, it's like, then do it. Like, don't edge us. Like, if it's really that great, and it's super cool, and it would be really nice to show us and all that, like, do it. Like, maybe for, like, I don't know if it has to be, like, an anniversary or something like that, but... Ideally, I'd like it to be before Martin kicks the bucket. But again, that's completely up to those two, so... We'll just have to see how it goes. I don't think I can get myself... See. Let me go to... Let's go to 7th floor. In Sorash's case, he might be a worse Malakath. Again, it really depends, right? Because we don't know what we don't know what we don't know, right? So I don't know what they could do with the concept of Sorash as a individual beast boss fight, right? Would he fight more like a Malakath 2.0, or would he have like his own thing? Like maybe he doesn't have a weapon. Maybe he just fights with his claws. So does he fight more like the Lion Guardians, but more powerful or something? Like I don't know what the concept is, what powers they want to give him. Again, depending on the lore in the background, they can give him additional powers he wouldn't have or something. Like I think there's potential there. Now, would it be the best fight? Again, who knows? Ultimately, we got what we got, and maybe that was for the best. We got what we got. We could have ended up with maybe a worse DLC if any of my suggestions came through. Who knows? Do you have a picture of the image of the Elden Ring on the Knight's Hammer? No, I do not. We're talking about, I assume we're still talking about, Impaler Boys Knights, right? Mesmer. I keep thinking, I'm like, Maxmer? Mesmer? All these stupid M names, they're getting all jumbled in my brain. Alright, this is the same, yeah, okay, this, I think, is the same we've been to already. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and this is where the door would be. So, up here, where I'm at right now... we have, this little cubby area, right? We have this little area here. I don't like it. Maybe. I don't know, Chad. I think I like it better without the guy. If I'm being real. I think this guy is kind of a third wheel between me and the environment, you know? Rude! I wanted a shot of that crap. I swear. Well, now it's ruined. Asshole. Do they give these guys different canes, too? I think the Hornson have spiral design canes. I guess we'll see. Because they're not horned, right? So they're supposed to be different. Yeah, they look like they have, more, like, uneven, regular wooden canes. It's still kind of in a spiral shape, though, but you can argue that's just, you know, a regular tree wood, right? Yeah, cool. Before DLC, I assume Godwin would have fought, like, Horalu, with lightning. Yeah, I could see that. I feel like he would have, like, a sword or something, though. I don't know. I feel like he would make, or maybe I guess they could like make him mimic a Godfrey and have the axe and then go for the hand to hand as well, or maybe something even cooler. He mixes the axe with the hand to hand, so he does both. That'd be kind of neat. That is a cool shot. I like that a lot. All right. All right, asshole. God, I still hate that angle. I hate it that I hate the angle, but I do. Also, these stupid horns are getting my shot. Fuck you, horns. The horniness is getting in the way of the stream. Who would have guessed? I've decided, chat, it is to be not horny, because horniness just gets in the way of your shots. You heard it here first. Stop being horny. Oh, but I hate it! This looks so much better! The lighting's just right. Also, what the... Oh, no, that's on the... Okay, I was about to be like, why is this disconnected from this? It's like, oh, that's a wall one. Okay. His knights use axes, so I assume he used an axe. Don't think he'd fight like Horalu. Yeah, again, we'll never know unless it happens, right? Unless we see it for ourselves. So pray there's gonna be an Elden Ring movie that shows the Ancient Dragon War or some shit. Alright, Black Knight's Hammer, we go. Here we go. Chat, I'm gonna just take the shot I want. I'm gonna pretend that these distractions don't exist. God, it looks awful. Stupid, stupid horns. Alright, back to what I was actually supposed to be doing here. Back to what I was actually supposed to be doing here. There we go. Oh, cool. They do some of the drapes closed at some points. That's nice. Also, Mesmer, I think you need to tell your blacksmiths to stop forging. I know you probably kill a lot of people, but you can, you know, clean the weapons, not let the blood corrode everything, so you need to constantly replace them. Like, goddamn, man. This is to Mesmer. Yes, I think I covered actually all the doorway areas, surprisingly. I think. Ah, I see. It clips through the walls, but you can't tell because they deload it when you go outside. Clever, Miyazaki. Clever. How the... with the free cam, is there anything in the Dark Chamber building other than the staircase and Mesmer's boss room? I don't think there is. Right? I don't think there'd be space. Like, they give it a roof, right? And it looks about the size of the boss room, right? Yeah, I don't think they... Yeah, I don't think there's... Yeah, there's not enough room for anything else in here. It's just the building. It's just the one chamber. I don't think there's any doorways or anything to leave for some space. Godfrey's armor is bizarre? What do you mean, Adolphus? Bizarre how? What's wrong with our man's the Godfrey, the goat? Oh, no, it wasn't Adolphus, it was Pastor. Sorry, man. God, I'm mixing up you people. Yeah, Pastor said that. What's below Mesmer's boss room? It's just a hollow-way cylinder all the way down? Yeah, it is. That's all it is. I think it connects to maybe the storehouse at some point. Or not. No, it looks like maybe it's its own thing. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. And then this is the thing that leads out, so. This is the best we get. Yeah, that's the best we're gonna get from. Just its own thing. Completely disconnected from the other stuff. Okay. Let's see. Alright. I want to get out of this maze. Let's go from Mesmer's boss room. Mesmer's dark chamber. You might even say it's as dark as the abyss. I like how this is still considered the specimen storehouse. Yeah, I don't like the grace point being there. Maybe if we ever do this on another character, we'll retake this shot, but... Interesting they have these tablets here, which are usually used in this case seemingly like a gravestone, so... Interesting idea here, maybe to add to Mesmer's, prestige, right? Make him look more fearsome by burying some blokes here. Maybe loyal knights, or so, I don't know. Yeah, I said Godfrey's armor is weird. The breastplate in particular has this strange thing that looks like it would construct movement. Oh, constrict movement. I mean, to be fair, that's a lot of armor in video games, right? Like, when you look really closely, you'll notice that they tend to have the armor, like, bend like it's rubber, even though it should be, you know, constricting the movement the way the person is acting, right? So, there we go. Oh. God, Dark Souls is messing me up on my buttons now. Nice. All the way down. And then you got the wall here. All the way around. Besides, this reminds me of Malachus Arena and Farmazilla. Oh, is that so? So that has a similar shrine vibe for sure. Oh, how can we forget? As soon as Mesmer comes home for the day after a long time out impaling people, he gets to be greeted by his mom. Oh, Mesmer, he's just a little mama's boy deep down. Oh wait, why is she defaced? Uh-oh. What the hell are you guys doing here? Get the hell out of my Mesmer tower. Nothing really. Yeah, these are the sections of the areas where it's like, okay, this is more area than logic. They didn't load this properly for obvious reasons. That shade is your face. Oh. Hey, you remind me of a troll for some reason. I wonder why. Oh, nothing up the butt. Alright. And this takes me back to that area, so let's go. I don't remember if I took a shot of this or not. I want to say I didn't. There's the boats. Good lighting on the bookshelves here, so. Nothing familiar, though, in terms of iconography. Uh-oh, boys, you missed one! You missed it. You missed America statue to the face. Could these be the giants the Crucible Talisman grew on, or do the kanji imply something more like a fire giant? There's no distinction made when it comes to giants. Giant just means giant person. It could refer to the fire giants, could refer to something else. Personally, I think it's probably referring to fire giants, or maybe some related species we don't say that lived off the mountaintops, but in the region. Because again, we do see evidence of giants at places like, what's it called? Windham, right? So, it's totally possible that fire giants, due to relations with the farm colonies, and potentially by extension, the Horn Scent, got around and maybe were affected by the Crucible thing, right? Because as we can see, at the very least, it seems the Realm of Shadow was heavily affected by that. And it might have to do with stuff in the area. I was wondering if the boats were important when I was first going through, like having them at the location we saw them, but seeing them here really makes me think, okay, it's just like a thing, right? Whatever the purpose of it isn't something like, okay, it had to be, like, it wasn't like some symbolic thing, they had to keep it only at that entrance, right? That was more for the devs to showcase it, so it's like, okay, interesting. You know, kind of like a double crescent moon design here, kind of. I'll take a shot of it, why not? This is the Tibia Mariner boat, by the way. Oh, good to know. Good to know they're making good mileage out of that. Asset. Let's see. Maybe better this way. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I was about to say, is that thing see-through? No, okay, no, it's solid. Okay. I was about to say, like, how are the design, like, floating in midair if that's the case? But no, it's just because it's against a dark background. We love a new fire type. We stand new fire types in this house. Alright, move. Alright, let's get out of here. I think we got all the shots we want in this area. Anything in the hinterland? No. Shadow Tree area? No. We got pretty much all the stuff at the Shadow Keep that I could possibly want. I'm still mixed on whether I feel the what's it called, the parasitized corpses or whatever, the Gravekeeper things that we see in this area are due to Godwin or something completely independent of Godwin that has a similar effect, right? Like I'm still kind of like I'm kind of like mulling over how I feel about that. Also curious about the choice of building the churches in certain locations. Again, we know it's relevant when it comes to the main game, but I'm curious if it's still relevant here, or if it's just like, well, they just decided that we're going to plop down a church. The Cemetery Shades? Yeah, thanks. Thanks for reminding me, Pastor. I completely forgot whatever those guys were called. Fort of Reprimand, we got plenty of shots of that, right? I don't think we need any more of those. We got, like, everything in the torture area, I'm pretty sure. The jails, I'll be honest, I don't want to get shots of the jails. They're like all copy-paste, they look the same way, like it's like, yeah, I'll worry about it later. The forges are interesting, right? Because, at the very least, the DLC might be implying that they were exclusive to the Realm of Shadow, which begs a question as to why. Granted, they are closer to the center, right? So you have one here, one up here. One down here? No, that's Dragon's Pit. These two are pretty close. Is there a fourth one? Or is it just those three? The ones in the main game are weak to Litany of Proper Death, but the DLC ones aren't? Oh, is that so? That's cool. The red and blue flowers reminded people of the Twin Bird Kite Shield, so that area might have been associated with the undead for a long time, well before the land sealing. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's fair to say. The overall impression and the fact they plop a death bird here, and only here, I think in the entire DLC, this is the only death bird we find. I think that definitely gives the impression that this is the Twin Bird, motherland. Which explains why all the death was being, like, sailed over there, right? Before, like, Erdtree, like, economalized, or whatever the word is. Could be a balancing thing. It could be, but the problem is, Pastor, someone has to make a deliberate choice for that regardless, and it's very odd that they would make that choice to balance that enemy as, like, when it's not a boss, even. Like, it'd be one thing if they were making a boss version of it, right? Then it's like, okay, maybe you want to get rid of some counters that, like, an enemy version wouldn't have, but, like, it is an interesting detail to keep in mind, and it might be, that might be the hint that this is something different from the Godwin type of Cemetery Shade. Maybe it's connected more to the Deathbirds directly. I'd have to think about that one. It's just a percentage damage buff, and the spell does basically nothing without it, for sure. Lamenter's Jail, we don't care about. Yeah, there's nothing here because it's mostly just a field, and we got most of the cemetery stuff in there, so... Yeah, I don't see anything else with the forges, so I think it's just those three, right? So in that case, huh? It doesn't look like they're set up in the same way the mausoleums are, right? Like you have one in the east, the west, the north, and the south, right? Maybe we forgot to set a flag for that. I can ask Zuli about that at some point, yeah. It would be weird though, because if other stuff that affects those who live in death are weak to it, it should affect them as well, because the flag should be for all death stuff, so it shouldn't just be affecting Litany. It should be affecting everything that Litany would also affect, right? Because just the flag of saying, this is something that should be weak to this type of damage, right? It shouldn't be, like, you know, spell-specific, unless they make a separate modifier for that spell, right? So that'd be very weird. Because I don't think Litany's inconsistent otherwise, right? Like, there's nothing that works that Litany works on that it doesn't work on with other Golden Order anti-death spells. We have the water and stuff here. I don't know. The forges are perhaps the thing I have the least idea about. Because now we have this entire war of gods that we have to consider and factor into the timeline somewhere, somehow. Technically, Litany's a much larger boat and is hence doing nothing without it. Okay, then that might be it then. If they designed it in a very special way, then yeah, it could be that they like turned it on for those who live in death and they forgot to turn it on for specifically Litany. Are there any other enemies that Litany or the those who live in death stuff would work on besides your basic skeletons? Because those they could just copy paste, right? And I presume it would have the code would keep the same modifiers. So. Oh, are you a hammer boy? You're a hammer boy. Ah, you have the Erd Tree cross, of course. Of course. Gotta lock that in place and play around now. Let's go play. Sure, let's turn on the higher LODs, why not? That looks better. That looks like way better. It's not even close. It's just so much better. How much earlier can we go? Oh, no. Any earlier and it looks terrible. Okay. No, I can't get back to 12! I can't get back to 12! This stupid slider! I like how I could only get to 12.5 and then I tried to reset it again. Now it's at 12.08. It's like 12.05, 12.08. It's like, come on, you're getting farther every time. Ah! 12.03. Okay, close enough. Close enough to midday. Snails with the skull shell, skeletons, deathbirds, cemetery shades, ghost flame dragon takes the most damage, skeleton snails 2, tibia mariners. Okay, so there's a lot of enemies in there, so it's definitely an inconsistency then, for sure. It's not like, oh, it was that one thing. So if it is a separate modifier, I'm gonna have to ask Zuli about that, by the way. That's really, really hyper-specific. So it'd have to be like a one-off mistake, or it is significant for some reason. Mind the birds blocking the way, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. Yeah, you've mentioned the thing with tibia mariners before, that they specifically do so, which may now be connected to what we're learning about them in the DLC, but it could also just be, again, like an oversight. I've suggested that before. But yeah, it's very suspicious with the shades because, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, that's an enemy that they should have been able to copy-paste. How do you make a mistake there and change it up, right? Yeah, nothing really important or notable here. Anything with perfumers that I want to grab here? I don't think so. Let me double check something. Yeah, we have the higher LODs. Okay. I guess the DLC space about them not being those who live in death, but people so old they turn to spirits. Yeah, that's the possibility we have to consider now, is that the fact that they are spirits is notable. The problem with that, however, is that we also see spirits in the base game, and there's nowhere that there's no way that there's been enough time that's passed relative to other things that other entities whose time has passed and they've become spirits, right? So we have some stuff that's like, for example, the various NPCs we see that are spirits in the game. Well, these are all NPCs that clearly come from a post-America age, so they can't be so old that they're turning to stuff. And some of them are like tarnished or like, you know, former tarnished or whatever, right? Like there's just a lot of spirits and ghosts and things where it's like, huh, that can't just be like a person who like was around so long they turned to spirit. So there's something else going on there with that. I don't know what it is though, unfortunately. I don't like that. I think this is better. Yeah. I think I already have a shot of... So it should 100% be a copy and paste? Gotcha. Yeah, they have an area scaling, right? Like, again, it's one of those things where, like, I am curious. I'm very much curious. So the fact that Pastor mentioned that, it's like, I can't discount it and just be like, oh, it's definitely a mistake. It was just like, say, the Tibia Manor, sure, but now we have Cemetery Shades, which are an enemy with the Tibia Mariners, which have also been recontextualized now. So that way we can't really be absolutely certain that's a mistake. So it's like, yeah, it's definitely got me. It's got me wondering. I'm asking questions. You know what? Sure. No. I'll take the shot. I'll take the shot just to have it. Yeah, you know what? Sure. That's not how I got... That's not how I got here. Also, I like how they have, like, several camps dotting the main road between Fort of Reprimand to the castle, right? Like, that's neat. There we go. I found it weird too, especially since it's one of those bastards of the Cerulean Coast is why I lost a lot of roots. Yeah, you know what? That would make me remember that they weren't actually weak to this. You know what? I thought I was just gonna instantly kill you, huh? Asshole. Understandable. I hate how that texture is repeating. That's really annoying me. That's really annoying me how that texture obviously repeats. It's like a tire track. Alright. Oh my god, I hate it. Why? Why do you do this to me? Just the same little dirt patch. Again and again and again. And like, it's the same thing here, but there's more stuff covering it. Yeah, without the Dragon Boy alive here, there's not really much to... Also, wait, did these enemies despawn because I killed the dragon? Because I remember there being a bunch of dudes here. Oh, that's cool. I mean, with no dragon to fight, I mean, I guess, like, well, what are they doing, right? Like, event's over. Is it just me, or is this the same Ember stuff we see at Mesmer's castle, right? Isn't the color the same? I'm not crazy, right? I wonder if the boats then are like kind of like furnaces to try to create more of this flame that they share with the army. Like that's where it's made. Looks a lot like the burning boats, yeah. Okay, good, I'm not crazy. I'm not insane quite yet. There's a couple bigger braziers like this. Cool, okay. Because I thought it was really red, but looking at the flame now, it looks a bit more gold. It's just the embers inside the thing is red, which I think was kind of how it was in the boats, too. So yeah, I wonder if the boats are where they make it, and then they spread it around to the army so they can use Mesmer's embers. Maybe Mesmer, like, cremates his soldiers or something? No, because then... Ah, but there's no Erdtree burial, is there? So maybe they do just cremate themselves. Ah, but then what's the point of building the catacombs and things if that's the case, and having the graveyards like we see out back? Yeah, because they still commit to the burial. Yeah, and then there's... Yeah, okay, no, that doesn't completely work, right? Would have been cool, but I don't think that's not how it works. Would they have Shadow Tree burial? Maybe. I don't know how connected burying people on the roots of the Shadow Tree is compared to the Erdtree, right? Like the Erdtree burial. Oh, you know what? But the Erdtree burial stuff, the catacombs might predate the Realm of Shadow. That's true. Might not have to do with Mesmer's Crusade. Yeah, gonna have to think about that one. Let's go see our favorite cuck chair. Hey, Rolana. Huh. Of course. I see! When in the Carian castle, do as the Carians do. Make sure it's foggy everywhere. I never escape Liurnia weather. Also, funny thing I learned that you probably have already learned, the Fire Knights have red hair, so you could use that as a way to explain Mesmer's hair. Oh! As in all the knights who serve Mesmer have red hair as well. Yeah, that's a good possibility. And I've said that before, right? I've said it before. I was like, it might just be funny if it's just because he has a strong fire affinity, right? It has nothing to do with Radigan, birthright, or anything. Which again, personally, chat, I'm leaning heavily that he's just a kid of Godfrey. I think all the things we've seen with the demigods and the legacy and stuff, I think the idea that America cheated on Godfrey to have a kid with Radigan in the middle of all this, like, middle of, like, the Age of Plenty and stuff, I think that's becoming less and less likely. I've been kind of open to the idea, but it's becoming like the Great Tree theory, where like the less I see evidence supporting it, and the more I understand the circumstances surrounding it, the less I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt there. Zofsky showed it off. Awesome. We could probably, if we had a good shot of the Fire Knights back at the keep, we could probably look under the hoods and see it ourselves too. I still don't know how I feel about the nobles, right? I put forward the idea before that I think the nobles could just be Karian nobles who are just reusing the Langdell stuff for one reason or another. You can argue there's a cultural thing or whatever, like they're adopting Langdell noble fashion or whatever, right? And the pages are kind of the same thing, where it's like, okay, you have the pages when they serve the nobles, it could be either Langdell nobles or Karian nobles, right? And like the best way to be absolutely sure is seeing the crossbows, right? Because if they're using the perfuming crossbows, then it's like, okay, it's probably supposed to be a Langdell page. But obviously, it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. Radigan's theme sounds like the inspiration for Mesmer's theme with no trace of Godfrey's as Horlu in there. I feel Radigan is probably his dad, especially with the butterflies thing. Again, I'm open to it. But again, I feel like I'm not seeing it the more I look into it. Radigan and Mesmer's themes are just different versions of the main theme. Ah, okay, I see. That's why people associate it with Radigan then, because doesn't Radigan's, isn't the main theme used for Radigan's boss fight too? Yeah. Butterfly thing is circular logic. Yeah, that's true, I suppose. Yeah, because it would sort of, it would have to presuppose that Melina is a child of Radigan too, right? Because the other options we would have is what's his face? Frickin' Mikola and Melania, right? So it's Mikola, Melania, Mesmer, and Melina. Honestly, it's all the M names. Wait a second. Wait a second. Oh my god, just all the M names get the butterflies. Theme is also the theme for the main menu called Elden Ring, so it could easily be a reference to America or the story itself. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I can see that. No, but I think it's better. It's at least something more, right? But I would agree, it's not substantial enough for me. Yeah, if you're saying that the more peaceful notes are used with the Shaman Village, that just sort of reinforces that association with America. Not necessarily Radigan strictly. Morgoth and Moog throw a wrench in the M names thing. That's true. That's true. They're in there too. Granted, you know, they're Omen, so of course they don't count. Human supremacy, baby! That'd be... Yeah, I don't know if the butterflies necessarily adhere to a strict pattern, then. At least not without us confirming, any of all four's parentage independently, right? I don't think it's very useful as a barometer. These are normal dogs. Yeah, okay, no, nothing special here. This just takes us back for, yeah, this just takes us back for... I can tell if they retextured that, or if it's the exact same one as what we see in the base game. Because it kind of looks wet to me, but I might be crazy. Oh, you know what? I don't remember if I got a look at this fort yet. Let's look here. Besides having a strong natural affinity for an element. I guess that's true, that's true. You can always argue there's a unique curse set factor there. But then Moog and Morgoth have that too going for them, right, with the Omen thing. Now, granted, like you said, it's not an element per se, but... I don't know, would you consider youth an element? I forgot how we got down here last time. Oh, this is gonna kill me. Oh, I'm somehow not dead. This is gonna kill me. Sure. use him using stomps as a good argument with how Mesmer fights. Like, it could be, right? I could definitely see that being a factor. But we also keep in mind that Melina was locked away at some point. We don't know if that's before or after the Glow-Mite Queen thing. I thought it was her resurrection, but with the new lore we got with Mesmer and stuff, it could be that she was hiding her children because of that whole Vision of Fire thing since beforehand. Mikla's element could be light. Yeah, but that's not really the point of, like, his... That's not, like, the thing he's most associated with. Like, he's associated with his youth, while Melania is associated with the decay. Which, again, I would say plague or whatever as an element, sure. But, like, yeah, he has the light thing, but that's more so, like, later on with the whole learning magic and stuff. It's not like that's his natural affinity or anything. At least I don't think so. Have we ever seen his youth connected strictly to his light abilities? I don't think so. Okay, yeah, I don't remember getting a lot of stuff here, so... If I did, apologies to past Loki. But I'm doing over your work. Blatantly stealing stuff from the Banished Knights. I can't help but be horny when I hear that voice. Hey, Tyrone. Good to hear from... We'll see you again. This is gonna be an ASMR stream now, yeah. I heard there's interesting stuff with how Mesmer and Melina refer to their mothers. Specifically, they have a somewhat close relationship or something in the Japanese. I don't remember Melina or Mesmer's dialogue, but that is possible. Yeah, again, it definitely can. Yeah, again, it's true. Like it's not just with mothers, but it's like with anything with Japanese, right? There's several ways you can address someone, even with an honorific. Well, you know, like with a title or whatever, like with like mother or father or, you know, like brother, sister, right? And that can have different connotations depending on how exactly it's styled. Right, like there's a big difference between calling someone Oni-sama versus Oni-san, right? Versus even just Oni. Or Oni-chan. Are these hornless or horn-sink corpses? I'll check in a sec. I want to see if there's anything interesting about how they set up these boxes or anything that we've missed. Nope, it's just baskets and stuff here. Yeah, this is just a pretty standard storage room. Getting shots of this banner. Stop fluttering! Stop fluttering! Alright, good enough. Maybe change the angle. Why the fuck did it take Mesmer so long to kill all the Horns? He's been there for a conservative estimate like 100 to 200. Yeah, I agree. I feel like no matter how you square the timeline on how long he's been here, I still think it's been I'm like, how the hell have you been doing this for this long and you haven't, like, Mesmer, like, we literally see you in the trailer, like, rolling over Bellorat. How is it still standing? I'm pretty sure he did more damage in the trailer than we see this Bellorat in actual ruins in the game. It's like, okay, sure, whatever you say, Miyazaki. Whatever you say. I think we have to actually go up here in order for me to get back around. I don't know if he's cursed or whatever, but I will just say, I just find it very funny. Like, I can understand the Scarlet Rot thing. Like, I get it. The idea that it's been slowly encroaching or whatever, and they've been kind of busy. I can imagine them doing that for quite a number of years. Just slowly trying to push back it as it, you know, endlessly, you know, pushes itself outward throughout all of Caelid. Yeah, they just use standard corpses here. I think it's similar to the entrance of the castle. I like the wheelbarrow. I like they brought a wheelbarrow just to be like, yeah, they just kind of, came and, dumped the thing here. I don't know how the wheelbarrow got out of this pit, but I just love how they included it. Oh. There's where I am. Oh, that's the wrong button. I swear. Elden Ring is making me have to relearn all my buttons. And then I'm gonna have to relearn them all again when I inevitably go back to Dark Souls. Oh, it's still... Oh no, but that's supposed to be foggy down there, right? So... if the Shadow Enemies are possibly ghosts burned by Mesmer's flame, could that mean Mesmer killed all but 9 or so Horn Scent? It could be. Again, it depends on how much the Shadow thing is specifically related to Mesmer killing people. Or Mesmer's flame, at least, killing people, because it'll do it on his behalf, right? Because we see it with people in the Specimen Storehouse, too, right? So it's like, did he or his Fire Knights burn all the scholars there, too? Like, I don't know. I find it interesting, though, that we... Oh, look, it's the frickin' peg again. I do find it interesting, though, that the, all the, like, the super big, like, the strong-type enemies, none of them, as far as I'm aware, have gotten hit. So, like, all the Horn Scent, big guards, and obviously the Divine Protectors up in the tower and stuff, along with the priests, strangely. I don't think we see any Shadow Priests, either. All of them were fine, so if Vesper did, burn everyone but them, I find that funny. Did the Horn Scent deserve it? I'm in the fuck them kids camp at the moment, but I'm still learning more about the lore. I don't know. I honestly can't tell you, because as I said earlier, I have my suspicions, like my impression, when I was first going through, during my Let's Play, that Marika is responsible for what happens to her village. I know a lot of people think of what, like, Marika, like, this was, like, a motivation thing for Marika to have revenge. The problem is, she doesn't get her revenge until after the Crucible starts going down, and this is after apparently collaborating with them and using them for her to become a god, right? Like, Mesmer's not defeating or destroying them to make way for Marika to create the Erd Tree and the Elden Ring. All that stuff has to happen beforehand, right? And then she basically seems to ignore them for a bunch of stuff during the Godfrey reign, until, like I said, the whole stuff with Melina and the Glowmite Queen, and then all that goes down, and then, of course, the Crucible ends from that point onward, and then, like, she starts getting into researching a little bit into perfuming and getting, getting into the rudimentary stuff with Golden Order fundamentalism, starts enslaving, the Misbegotten outright, right? And then we have the Mesmer Crusade happening. So it's like, really? You have this big revenge plot, and only now you're getting involved with it? And then you combine that with how there's the big thing about how she has a confession to make to Grandmama, allegedly, up on the Shaman village, that the game is very coyly trying to avoid detailing to us. It sounds a lot to me, at least, like Marika is might be responsible for what happened to her village. She was an open collaborator because she was, again, chosen to become a god, and she essentially reached out to the Horn Scent and was like, hey, you can use this or whatever, and somehow this tied into their sacrificial ritual thing, and eventually they're sacrificing both the shamans and eventually the Horn Scent themselves to create the Gate of Divinity or whatever, and Marika becomes a god and creates the Erd Tree with the help of the Two Fingers, it seems, and then you know the rest, right? Like, you can read my analysis on Altus Unification War and stuff, like meeting up with Godfrey and as an Elden Lord and all that stuff. Like, all of that seems to be going on. So I'm like, I don't know about the revenge angle. There's a cookbook that talks about a Horn Scent that hates the Bonnie village practices. Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see the idea that not every horn set was necessarily on board, right? Like, it was an institutional thing. It was a top-down type of thing. And obviously, when it's top-down, you get a lot of, well, for lack of a better word, NPCs who kind of just go along with whatever's in vogue, right? But yeah, I can totally see that. I guess we should highlight the amount of explosive boxes. I don't know. Sorry, explosive barrels. I don't know if that's important in any way, but let's just highlight them just in case. Yeah, okay, that looks good. Anyway, so that's where I'm seeing it because of the timeline, and why I'm not so gung-ho about this whole idea that, you know, the Hornsent, killed Marika's family, therefore Marika is, you know, hell-bent on seeking revenge, because she's not behaving that way. Or if so, she's playing the super, super, super long game and only waiting until, like, literally, everything's most inconvenient for her to do it, right? And that's why I think it's just nonsensical. It doesn't seem right to me. Do you think Marika was an illegitimate god? That's an interesting idea. I mean, it would come down to the question of what do you mean by illegitimate? But the fact that that another Empyrean was born from Marika's own progeny, I guess could open up that possibility. Like, maybe the Greater Will wasn't happy with Marika's order and stuff because it relied on Metter, who was broken or whatever, and the Greater Will had abandoned Metter, right? So it's like, oh, you're not really getting things exactly how I want them, right? Like, you're getting a twisted version of what I'm aiming for, so I'm gonna create this new Empyrean who can maybe right the ship and, you know, bring an order of death to your life, right? Maybe. Again, I've always said that one of the biggest problems with the cosmology of Elden Ring is we don't know what the Greater Will can do and its limitations. So without those being clearly defined, it's hard to like divine its motive in any given scenario. Because theoretically, if it's anything even close to being almighty, then everything it's doing could be part of some long-term, like, big brain scheme that we can't possibly comprehend. She's designing dungeon layouts in her spare time. Yeah. Something about how prophets in the Bible go against God's plan, but God works with them and turns their sins to positive. Yeah, that's totally possible. I totally can see I mean, you could argue that's maybe the idea with the Tarnish. Like, the Tarnish maybe weren't exactly the Greater Will's idea, right? Like, Marika was trying to subvert and use them, because, again, there's that theory. And now that I've been in the game, I can definitely see the idea there, that the entire Tarnish journey is actually being controlled or directed by Marika, but it's still the Greater Will who, like, as the god above, is sort of like, you know, kind of, you know, using Marika's schemes as a way to go against her, ironically, right? And obviously it's ultimately up to us to kind of decide the direction of how much we adhere to Marika's own designs. Yo, Loki, what are you discussing? Hey, Raijin, we're discussing Elden Ring lore while I go look for possible shots for future Elden Ring analysis on Elden Ring lore, right? So, yay! It's almighty, but it doesn't care. But if it doesn't care, there's a question then of why it's bothering with all these things in the first place then. Like, it has a creation, and then it's continuously involved, and it's sharing its power and all that stuff. Again, I don't know. I don't know. Strange thing for an apathetic god. Would Marika's order even rely on Metter? Enia says she's seen the two fingers contact the Greater Will before, so this might imply a non-Metter finger was still in contact. Again, it's possible, but again, the point being made, at least based on what we're learning from Metter and what is championed by Ymir, which again, maybe he's biased, right? But based on what we get from them, it seems pretty clear, though, the lore definitely is that the fingers and what the mother of the fingers gives birth to is as broken as she is, right? So there's something supposed to be wrong. And again, that's why I say, like, maybe it's getting stuff, maybe it is communicating or contacting the Greater Will, but the information it receives or how it translates it is being scrambled. So think of it like you receive a radio signal, but the radio signal is half corrupted, right? So maybe the two fingers is like an AI, so it takes that half-corrupted signal it's received, and it tries to fill in the gaps maybe, and those gaps are not necessarily exactly what the Greater Will actually wants, right? And then you take into the possibility that America may be hijacking the signal. So what the two fingers thinks it's receiving contact from the Greater Will, it's actually been receiving messages from America or something, right? Potentially, right? So there's that avenue to look at too. The problem lies with the mother or whatever. Yeah. So like Ymir definitely makes it clear that everything America had was flawed because the fingers were for whatever reason flawed. And again, I don't know why. There could be a deeper lore thing there on what happened that caused the mother of the fingers and the fingers in general to be broken, right? Because we have to assume that the two fingers were there in Far Missoula culture, possibly there in Rao culture, right? Like, there's a lot of maybe even ancient dynasties for all we know. Like, it really depends on where the Elden Ring's going, because where the Elden Ring goes, it's where the two fingers, who are supposed to be guiding all this, would be going as well. Reminds me a lot of the story of Samson in the Book of Kings, how God used a violent, adulterous brute to defeat the Philistines, which led to an age of godlessness and eventually back to God. Yeah. So again, yeah, I could definitely see Martin taking inspiration from the Bible or other mythological books and things, and trying to build that up for his world in Elden Ring. Again, another reason I would love to see Martin's actual prose, because that would, again, probably answer a lot of our questions if we had a lot more context from, like, you know, how he would list the genealogies and probably histories of the demigods and things like that. We can see how much he wrote about, like, Mesmer and Melina and how much details are there. And then one of the nice things, if we had Martin's prose, it would also help us have a clear line on, like, okay, what is it what Martin said, and how is it that Miyazaki interpreted what Martin said and expounded upon it to create his own little details or history, right? Because we can imagine there could be, like, for example, I would imagine that the whole thing with Mikola and Radigan and, like, Radigan making that promise to Mikola as a child, I wouldn't be surprised if that comes straight out of Martin's text. But then how much of the stuff that comes after with Mikola was actually, like, with the whole plan with Moog and all that stuff. From what we see in content, a lot of things changed when it came to the actual Shattering War and stuff. So maybe the Shattering War was a bit more vague, and some of the specific battles and how things played out might have been more left to Miyazaki and From Software to figure out once they knew who the characters were and how they would behave and operate, right? So having a clear line on, like, what is, like, say, Martin canon versus FromSoft canon, quote-unquote, might be an interesting case study. I always wonder why Plaki gods abandoned them, but unfortunately there isn't much explanation why they left. Well, again, I do have a explanation. I'm gonna have to reevaluate that, though, in light of the new information, right? Because we have to now, like, go back and, like, with the new dragon lore, with the new America lore, all that, it's go through the timeline on everything and see how it all fits together. Okay, so you have the bridge there. I am curious whether this bridge is horn sent, like they had that there already, right? Because it doesn't have anything that we normally would associate with either Liurnia, well, specifically, you know, Caria, or the Erd Tree Kingdom, right? Let me see what that other bridge leading into the fortress looks like for comparison. Okay, so that's what we got, the squares, and then you got the cobblestone in the middle. Here, though, I think it's more traditional, right? Yeah, this is more in line with what we see with the rest of the area. Yeah. They just use the square stones. And they're a little darker, I think, too. So yeah, I wonder if that's a horn-sent bridge. Oh, that'll be interesting to read when you break down why Plaki's God left. Again, I already have that up there with stuff like Erdtree's beginning and things like that, right? But again, I would like to definitely expand upon it with a proper Fara Missoula and stuff on, like, yeah, the exact motives and things. But I would need to, again, reevaluate it with everything with the DLC. It's just again, one of the nice things about this DLC is that it has definitely added a lot more to chew on. And while I don't feel the urgent need to talk about that stuff, that could easily change. Like, Smotown's coming out with a new book that's in the same, I would say he might have been inspired by reading Abyssal Archive. I won't take credit for Smotown's work or anything, but I'm just saying. You know, it's from our, we have it published by the same company, right? So, maybe, just maybe, took a little inspiration. And I'm very happy for that. Like, I've said it outright, I would love if more content creators, if they feel confident about their work and stuff, to please feel free to contribute to the scholarship by actually putting it all down to paper and publishing it. Put it out there. But, yeah, so maybe I'll read his book, and then I'll be like, no, you know, I don't know about this or that or that or that, and then I'll feel motivated again. But right now, I'm pretty happy putting that on the back burner to focus on my passion for Bloodborne and Dark Souls, mostly Dark Souls, but... And there's just so much to do with Bloodborne and Dark Souls, right? You guys keep asking me for a Bloodborne book, a Dark Souls book, Dark Souls 2 book, a Dark Souls 3 book, and an Elden Ring book. It's like, goodness me, I only have so much time to write down it all. And stuff like stuff like Ring City, it takes a while to write down. I think the biggest thing with Ring City for me has been just how, even with all the outlines I have, which I admit part of it's my fault because I second-guessed past Loki on the outline, and I was like, why did you order it like this or whatever? You should have it like this. And then later when I get to that part, I'm like, oh, that's why. Oh, whoops. And then I have to like go back and reorder. Like some of it's some of it's because of me, and I'm just I'm undoing all the good work that past Loki did to make things as smooth as possible. But another part of it's just like it's a lot to break down. It is a lot. I didn't even realize until I came back to it. I was like, holy crap, there really is like a lot of lore content here. Like it's kind of redonkulous. So it's just a lot of things that I want to make sure that I give their proper due. Oh, interesting detail about these solitary mausoleums. The arch right above the fog gates has the broad leaves design that shows up on the suppressing pillar, the one spawned on near Eileen. Yeah, I think I saw you mentioning that in the Discord, Night Scout. Yeah, it's I find it very interesting with the mausoleums and how they're at cardinal directions, but they show signs of horn scent culture. And then you have the suppressing pillar, which looks like they take a bunch of different architectural styles, which may just mean it's unique, and we shouldn't be paying attention to the details for the suppression pillar. But, like, again, I find it interesting, all the same. Okay, I think I know what I want to do. I want to go here. I want to take a shot of our favorite naked mole rats. Let's see. Smo's book gonna be fire, just as awesome as your Abyssal Archive, which I'm loving to read. Everlasting Dragon chapter was a fun read. I'm glad to hear that, Raijin. I really love, talk about the dragons, because while they aren't like a huge, like the biggest thing to write about in terms of lore and concept, I think that, especially after you've read the first chapter, right, on the cosmology and stuff, it's really cool seeing all those cosmological rules be executed and how they kind of pave the way for the future, right? Like the dragons are very much like the first big transitionary period for the history of the series, and it's just a really cool, like kind of concept to explore, right? With dragons and how they fit compared to like dragons in other fantasy settings, right? Like it's something that you don't quite see anywhere else. I'm gonna pray that they're gonna stop raining by the time we get there. Oh, I'm not even going the right way. Never mind. Dumbo. Oh, you know what I'm gonna turn off though for now. Higher LODs, because we have not found anything I want to take with higher LOD in a while. So let's save myself the frickin' seesaw going up and down, bobbing with the camera. Of course, it stopped raining, but it turned to fog. Fuck my life, man. The Finger Slayer blade was used on Metter as a fun idea that I've heard. Ooh. Ooh! You know what, Xavier? You might be right. Something that would get the Nox banished, which would permanently maim a Two Fingers that we otherwise don't know about. Oh, my camera's still bobbing now for some reason. Yeah, you know? The more I think about it, the more I believe it. Alright. Alright, chat. You ready to see a massacre? I know I am. We're gonna turn off the game speed though. We're gonna go to normal speed. We're gonna turn off always stealth. And we're gonna turn on higher LOD here. Yeah, look at those trees and those ruins. They look so much better now. I didn't come up with it. I know you didn't come up with it, but you're the one who mentioned it, so. It's fascinating to me how Basilisk, World Serpents, and even the Man Serpents had relation to the Dragon. Something I wasn't expecting when I read the Dragon chapter. Well, sounds more obvious in retrospect, doesn't it? Do I want to change the angle? No, I do. Let's change the lighting so the shadow's not going on their faces. Did you ever take a photo of Denaya in profile to check if she's still pregnant? No, I have not taken the profile shot. Thanks for reminding me. I should do that. What are your thoughts on the unnamed demigods? I think they could be bastards of America, and I feel your character could be one of those bastards. Your character wakes up in a mausoleum, or at least it's implied. Your character... There is a mausoleum shown in the opening, but it's not necessarily that your character comes from there, because your character has various backgrounds, so you could come from any of those lands. You could be someone who come from not Japan. You're someone who could come from not Finland. Sorry, not Norse, not Nordic land, I guess. Whatever you want to call, whatever you guys want to call it up there, up in the tundra north. I'll have to ask Acer. And then, or you can come from like a place that seems to be like your typical, stereotypical, like, you know, Western European type landmass. So I think it really kind of depends. There's a lot of variety to the backgrounds. As to the bastard question on the unnamed demigods and stuff, no, I don't think they're bastard children. The term used doesn't really refer to bastards, at least not in the way that it's used by From Software in Miyazaki's games. It's a term that I translate consistently as like spawn. In terms of the idea, like, in the same way that you might call something a hellspawn or something like that. Like, it's kind of just a generic word for, like, just something monstrous or terrible. But, like, if you want to get into the nuance, it's talking about something where it's like, oh, it's, a terrible consequence of something, like, this is the bad result of something else. And it's not strictly in the sense of that thing could be like a bastard child, right? Because historically it was used to refer to, like, a noble's bastard or whatever, right? But again, it's used to refer to stuff like, say, the Nashandra and, like, her quote-unquote sisters in Dark Souls 2. It's used to refer to, like, Estelle, right? Estelle is referred to as instead of the natural born of the void, it's more like the spawn of darkness, right? Like this horrible result of the void of space, which now we know is apparently the Greater Will, so... Greater Wills, baby! Right, so, That's why I wouldn't say that we are America's bastard or that the nameless demigods are bastards. They're referred to as spawn by that one NPC ghost at the first wandering mausoleum, like, you know, the tutorial mausoleum, quote unquote. Because it seems that that boss, how do I put it? Not really boss, but, you know, like that demigod has become, you know, one of those who live in death, corrupted by, you know, soulless, right? That whole soulless dilemma thing, that seems to be why the enemy refers it to that. Like, you know, America's spawn, right? It's this not just a normal child, but this terrible, vile, like, evil result now. So it could be a bastard, but you feel like they would have used a different word if they meant like that. Yeah, like, you don't... Okay, here's the thing. Historically, it had this meaning of bastard, but you're never really going to see someone in the modern day, especially... when used the way it's used by Miyazaki in his games to mean a noble's bastard, right? Like, that's not how it's used. That's not what it really means, right? It's one of those things where it's like, okay, like, you know, like, technically. That's why you get stuff like Bastard Stars or whatever it's called with Estelle, but it's not trying to say, like, Estelle is just a bastard in, like, you know, the pejorative sense that we say it, where it doesn't really have a meaning or whatever. It's just a mean way to refer to someone, and it doesn't mean in the literal sense where it's like, oh, you know, you're a bastard child or something like that, right? Like, you can kind of think of it that way with the Greater Will, but it's not in the sense of it's an illegitimate child of the Greater Will or the void of space, right? It's the idea that it came from the space, and we hate it. That's really the idea. It's like, okay, this thing came from something and we hate it. But you could refer to anything like that because everything comes from something, right? Like, I'm not going to get into like the 5 proofs of God or something like that, right? But like, the whole thing of like, everything came from something else eventually, right? So So again, it's a very, that's why I said it's like a generic term you just refer to as something that's like a monster, like something you don't, that's how it's really being used, right? When it's referring to terrible monsters and stuff, Miyazaki likes to throw out Spawn. He also likes using terms like grotesque, right? Or monstrosity is another way you could possibly translate it. But I prefer grotesque because it's also used as an adjective that way, even though it can be used like a noun. It's very weird that way, but. Do the characters who speak in Ye Olde English use an antiquated form of Japanese in the text? Sometimes, like for example, Godric, he speaks in antiquated language. Obviously, he doesn't have many lines, but what lines he does have, it's very obvious that he speaks that way in order to sound more regal and godly, right? Like it characterizes Godric in the sense that it shows he's trying too hard. He really, like, no one else talks, like, none of the other family members talk like Godric talks, right? It's very obvious that it's kind of like a good Gwendolyn situation, where he has the most to prove, so he tries to project the most of that affectation. But when you're in on the joke, you're kind of like, oh, he's just a loser. So you're saying the Greater Will is the primeval current? Yeah, that's what the lore that, that's basically what we got from the lore of the DLC with Ymir and stuff. Could the Staff of the Great Beyond casting both sorceries and incantations be in support of this? Yep, for sure. And again, I don't know if it's the idea that the entire Greater Will constitutes the void, right? Because as you guys know, I've talked about it before. I've been of the suspicion that the gold is connected to the sun, and then the sun connects back to the Greater Will in one form or another. So I don't know if that's kind of like, that's a creation of the Greater Will, or it's an expansion of the Greater Will, or if the Greater Will is, as the DLC's revealed, we at least now know, Greater Will is definitely the void, the darkness of space, right? I don't see any of these other angles working out for me, but yeah, I don't like this one. Oh, maybe this one would work. I think it's enough shots, though. Yeah, I think it's enough shots. Yeah, okay. Okay. I like the blood splatter in the background covering that one guy. Does even America talk like Godric in the direct quotes of the Japanese text? I don't remember her doing so. I remember her just speaking regular formal Japanese, but I'd have to double check because it's been a while since I looked at America's stuff. But from what I remember, no. Mesmer really said stand it, though. Yeah, sure. Mesmer, though. Yeah, Mesmer. If you want to get a Blood Fiend Chief's moveset, there should be a respawning one in a cave near Taylu's Ruined Forge. Cool to know. Thank you for telling me, Xavier. I actually kind of like that. We're gonna... There we go. Just me and the boys taking out the naked mole rats. I've been saying before the DLC that I think the Greater Will has duality similar to the Trinity or inspired by it. I think he is the sun and the moon. That's interesting. I don't know about the moon because there's several moons, but I can definitely see that or something akin to it. I feel like the Trinity, though, is more so what inspired the duality between Marika and Radigan, right? The idea of, like, two persons in one god. I feel like that's like where it's most relevant, but yeah, maybe it works the same way with the Greater Will. Yeah. Sorceries and incantations all stem from God, for sure. That would make sense. I don't know. I think this is the best shot. Like, I want to get more of them, but I think this is the best one. Yeah. You have the arm here too, so. No, a little higher, yeah. Yeah, okay. A little bit, yeah, a little bit further out, yeah. Yeah. Okay, that looks good. That looks real good. I like that. Let's just adjust the lighting now. Oh. Yeah, that's good. Perfect. Perfect! See if we got anything good here for just a wide shot. Yeah, something like this is better. Yeah. There we go, just perfect. Alright, I'm pretty satisfied with that. So which one's Talu's? Is it this one? That's Runeforge Lava Intake. That's Starfall Pass. Talu's has to be up here then. Right, over here. Yeah, the one with the Misbegotten. Oh, no. Yeah, okay. Cool to know. Another thing is that these are informal entrances. Someone broke in here and then created like this mineshaft type thing, right? Like, you're not supposed to enter through here, it seems like. Which makes me question, how were you supposed to enter? Is the entrance buried underground? Is this like a Chalice Dungeon situation? The golems just kept on working even as like their place like kept on like, you know, getting buried and buried and buried? Oh, look, do you know if the Japanese have any significance to the name of the skill of the Meter head weapon? I do not remember what the skill was. I might have it in my notes. Oh my damn, my goldfish memory. I can't remember. Do the larger Misbegotten use roar attacks aside from the leonine ones? If so, you could compare that to the Blood Fiends roaring. It could be, but it doesn't work in all cases because we do have examples of Blood Fiends who I assume would also do the roar attacks. Ah! Wait, what? Oh. Oh, right. I forgot! I forgot we turned off stealth, so it's not just enemies, but me as well. Oh, no. Alright, this is a good time. This is a good time for me to go check for you guys. So what's the deal with the lava forges? Besides having lava, they don't seem to have any relation to lava story. Well, as I was saying earlier in the stream, I have no idea, and that's what really, really confuses me, is I really have no idea of where to put the forges in relation to everything else, right? Like, everything else I have, like, a vague idea in terms of the timeline and stuff and where it all fits. Nuh-uh. This got no... Where's my Miro board? Ah, there it is. I was like, where the hell is that thing? It's funny how you can just have Enya give you Mitter's head in front of one of her spells. You know what? I didn't even think about the meta story implications of that. It's like, oh, yeah. No, that's kind of screwed up, huh? It's kind of effed up. His name is Cow Towers Resentment. Oh, I do remember. I do vaguely recall that when I was like, oh, that's an interesting translation. Let me bring it up. I think I have it here. Let me try to remind myself here. Cow towers. Okay. Cow tower, cow tower. Da-da. Alright. Alright, let's try to find the JP for this then. Cow Tower. Okay, this is the code. I will say, big thanks to Adolphus. I don't know if you're still in the chat. Big thanks for you for sending me these links. It makes it so much easier for me to be able to go grab and find what I want to show to you guys. Yeah, okay, the term is used is kowtow. What, you know, called toll, but we say kowtow. Yeah, so it's a pretty direct translation. But yeah, I remember that. I was like, oh, that's nice. Instead of resentment, though, I would say it's more so, No, resentment's fine. Okay, so here's the thing. It's kind of like a feeling between indignation, right? And, like, a rage, right? It's an emotion, like, that's somewhere between those two feelings, basically. I don't know if we have a word that quite maps onto that. I hate the bird app, man. Why, you don't like the Twitters? I'm not using the new name. Already pissed, just opened Twitter for the first time tonight, and some chick immediately started beef with me, claiming the documentary, claiming Lincoln was a closeted gay agnostic was sick. Listen. It's not the app. It's people. You learn, Tyrone, to just accept that we're all fallen. Like, but angrier. Yeah, so the idea is supposed to be that the implication is supposed to be that Metter is bowing to someone other than the greater will, right? When you're using the skill against enemies, right? So it's like you're making the mother of the fingers who respects only the greater will. Like, the greater will's the only one that Metter would even put on her level, let alone above her, right? And yet you are making her prostrate herself to kowtow to these lesser light forms, essentially, right? These lesser wills. They're not the greater will, they're the lesser wills. Anyway, while you have Metter's stuff open, say about Metter being broken abandoned. Broken abandoned comes up a lot in the script. The localization doesn't always translate it, but it's basically always being used. But let's see. We're talking about the gazing finger, right? So, what do we got here? What's the localization say? Head, wielder is a weapon without modifications from within the center fingerprint that wrinkles the creature's foremost protrusion. A tiny wart-like eye gazes vacantly into the beyond. What's this about the broken and abandoned? Wait. Oh, we're talking about the staff, actually. Yeah, sorry. My bad. Staff action from tail, mother, and the micro-raised crux, But the mother receives thanks for great whale from the beyond and microcosm. Despite being broken and abandoned, she kept waiting for another message to come. Yeah, it's pretty accurate from what I remember. Yeah, even after being broken from abandoned, she ever continued to wait for them. Yeah, so, the interesting thing for me here is the terms being used. So, while they see being, she receives signs, the term used isn't really signs, it's waves. So it's in the same way, like, it's stuff that invokes things like wave function or wave theory in physics and things like that. So we're talking about like a wave as you imagine it in physics, so the thing you'd see on a graph. So that's what it's referring to, and it sort of invokes this radio wave. There's also a term for receive that's used. So when it says, where is it? Yeah, so when it's talking about receiving waves, it's usually a term that you would usually use when you're talking about, like, devices like a radio or a television, right? This idea of, like, you're receiving the electrical signals or waves from those things, and they're, I don't know how technology works. It's magic to me, but you guys get the idea. So that's what I found very interesting about the text. But, like, yeah, in terms of the broken abandoned thing, yeah, that's what it says. Even after being broken abandoned, she ever continued to wait for receiving those waves from the greater will. I say wave theory. Keep in mind, I'm just saying that's the way the term is used in those concepts you hear in physics, right? So, yeah, I'm not thinking you talk about, like, ocean waves or something like that. Time to see Andronicus go crazy. Hello, DG. Welcome to the chat. I don't recall you. If not, sorry, I have goldfish memory. It'll be fun to do pictures for Metter because she creates a pulsar during a part of her fight. Ooh, that is cool. Metro uses Kowtow's resentment herself, though, to kill you. Maybe she's furious at her lot in life overall. I mean, in terms of, like, using the skill and stuff, I mean, granted, this is to kill you and stuff. I can imagine she's so mad that she has to resort to, quote-unquote, kowtowing when she would never do this in any circumstance other than to bow before the glory of the greater will. So I think the idea still fits. But again, in terms of the weapon, obviously, you're the one that's causing this and forcing it to happen. So, same idea. Either way, it's your fault that she has to do this. Ay, ay, ay. I wonder if law of causality and regression gestures are emulating a wave graph in wave theory. I don't know about that, but oh, I do remember there's something from that gets used. What was it? I think I translated that as attraction, right? Let's see if it shows up. No, attract. No. Oh, gravitation. That's what I put it as, right? Yeah. Yeah, that was... Yeah. Okay, so gravitate... Yeah, that's what it was. I was like, I remember using it somewhere, but I couldn't remember where exactly. Yeah, so gravitational missile uses the same term that has the idea of, like, pull that's mentioned in the English for the laws of causality and regression, right? And I use that term gravitation because it's slightly different from the term used for gravity, right? Again, similar meanings, but they're different kanji are being used for different terms, so... what do you think is your most far-fetched theory at the moment? I'd probably say that Rykard is an actual motherfucker. Or, well, actual wannabe motherfucker. I'd say that's probably my most out there theory I've put out, right? I never put in analysis or anything, but it's one of those, like, preliminary thoughts where it's like, okay, let's explore this idea. It's tied with Radigan being gray and Rykard being into his mom. Yeah, I figure the mom thing I would definitely say is probably the one that I'd say is my most out there suggestion I put forth. But hey, I'm not gonna have to worry about touching on Rykard for a while, so there's so much other content to get through first. Don't even need to explore that idea. What's your best argument for it? It has to do with what's her name? Talith, whatever her name is. Rykard's lover, wife, whatever she is, consort. Just the masks, why she wears it, where she comes from, stuff like that. I've talked about it. Though now we've got new lore on that. So again, it's something where all theories that I have yet to go through would have to be revised before they've even been put down into paper, right? Because of the revelations of the DLCs. Because now we might have a little bit more specific on Tanith's background. Like more Banished Knights. Yeah, more Banished Knights. Like, unironically, I was talking about it on the Twitters. I'm not using the new name. I was actually talking about how I was like, I don't know what to do with perfumers quite yet. I'm still, like, mulling it over. But, like, I can't separate out the Banished Knight stuff from Mesmer. And I can't separate... Oh, cool. I can't separate out the, no, let's just take a shot of this anvil. I can't separate out the Misbegotten stuff from Mesmer. So I'm wondering if I really should be doing it with the perfumers. Because the downside is that all the perfumer lore is going to be spread out across multiple articles and things, right? Because I'll have to talk a little bit about perfumers in Crucible's End. Then I'm going to have to talk about it in Mesmer's Crusade. Then I'm going to have to talk about them probably with the Omen incident, which probably is going to end up being its own analysis now. Because I don't think I can fit into Crucible's End now. Like, I was thinking of, like, going back and adding it later, but now with Mesmer's Crusade, we now clarify where exactly it takes place in that timeline I've set up now, and I don't think I could just cleanly insert it that way. I'm gonna have to, like, put that thing off along with Mesmer's Crusade there, and I don't think I can fit into Mesmer's Crusade either, because that's its own thing to talk about, so, like, there's a lot. There's a lot that I can't really kind of cut out there, because it's kind of important to help contextualize all the stuff involved with Mesmer. Like, it's kind of necessary, right? You can't talk about how nobody really respects anybody who goes off to fight for Mesmer without talking about who has to fill the gaps for who isn't fighting for Mesmer, right? So you kind of have to talk about the Misbegotten Slaves and the what's it called? The the Banished Knights. And you have to talk about the perfumers, and stuff that are taking part in this then, right? Because they're kind of commanded to, because, you know, God America says you do it, right? How the hell did that happen? Sure, whatever you say, buddy. Weapon Art of the Night in Flame stance says the spell part is Night Comet, despite looking like Comet Azure. What does the JP text say? I have excerpt down below. Sure, I can check that real quick. I don't remember the exacts, but I've said it before. My position is I think that any Comet Azure we see before, well, Azure invents Comet Azure, is just supposed to be like, you know, it's the developers taking creative liberties, because, well, there's only one torrent like spell in the game. So they're just gonna copy paste it and say, oh, you know, it's something completely different. It's not the exact same. Renal is just really powerful, so she creates a giant, powerful beam thing that's exactly like Comet Azure, you know. But it's not Comet Azure because it doesn't come from the same source as Azure discovered, right? And same thing probably with this Night Comet thing. Night Comet. I don't remember if skills show up here in the thing I have, so I might have to check this separately. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to check it separately. I'm gonna have to do that after stream, Night Scout, because yeah, I don't have the JP text for all the weapon arts and stuff, so I'm gonna have to look at that later. Damn. I don't want to go sifting through the wikis to go find it on the list and all that stuff. Anything about this that I really want? It looks like an anvil, but that's about it. Man, if only this was like a little bit more to the left here, it'd be perfect. It would block out that stupid. Oh no, I can make this work, chat. I can make this work. I swear, I can make sure that the blue is not that distracting. I promise. Trust Uncle Loki here. He's got it all figured out. There we go. Perfect. Nice. Perfect. Oh, you brought it up for me. Thanks, Night Scout. Let's see. It's a little fucked up the way you posted it, so but yeah, they say Night Comet there. Yep, shooting magic power as basically a Night Comet star type thing. What are your thoughts on the Misbegotten, their origins, and also the demi-humans? Misbegotten seem to more or less come about during the Altus Unification War, it looks like, as a last-ditch effort in order to resist America and folks. So what basically seems to happen is that America, Godfrey, and crap make the they create the Earth. Based on what we learn now, so it seems to be from the DLC. America, and with the help of the Two Fingers, creates the Erd Tree. The exact process I'm not going to elaborate on. And after doing so, the Sun Capital, which existed where Langdell is now, and the farm colonies in general sort of have quote-unquote like ownership of it just by virtue of where it was set up and stuff. But then, of course, you have Godfrey, America building up an army with Godfrey, Horalu at this time, and then going in and killing, you know, raising the Sun Capital to the ground, you know, defeating everybody, all that jazz, blah, blah, blah. Then it goes and fights Sarash over at the fortified manor over here, right? Defeats him, defeats them. And it seems to be this type of conflict here where the Misbegotten arise, where some people basically interact with the Crucible, but they don't actually know how to, really. It was just sort of a last-ditch desperate effort, and they turned into the Misbegotten that we know of. And because of that, they were given special privileges for a time where they had their own quarter and stuff, where like they were allowed to keep to their pagan practices and things like that because they had that holy sign to them. But otherwise, those who refused to obey were shipped off with the banished knights to go work in Stormvale. That's where the misbegotten we have here come from, and I guess technically the ones we have also most likely up here, but that's a separate thing. Anyway, the point is that you have these misbegotten here. And all things were cool up until the Crucible started dying, and then Marika got onto her fundamentalism streak, and she decided to turn the Misbegotten, like, the Misbegotten were no longer cool. All the Crucible stuff, that was no longer cool anymore. Now, she's developing this new ideology, and it seems like, based on Mesmer's crusade, she began enslaving the Misbegotten, even earlier than I was initially willing to, like, I was willing to put it more of, like, a by this point, by the point of, like, Radigan's reign, she was doing this enslaving thing. But now it seems to be like, okay, we can firmly say it was definitely a lot earlier, even during Godfrey's reign than I might have initially been willing to say. But now that we can say that with absolute certainty, it's like, okay, in that case, then we have the Misbegotten down here with the Banished Knights, and we have the Misbegotten up here, and either way, they're being enslaved, right? Like, these guys are kind of already slaves as penal colonists down here. But either way, they're being enslaved, and they're being basically forced into Mesmer's army to help, which is why we see them rebelling here in the DLC the same way they are in the base game, right? Like, it's like, okay, after all this time, they're finally getting their payback. So even this says night comment. Thanks. Sorry for the formatting. YouTube chat removed the language. Yeah. It's really awkward to read that when it's like that, right? It's definitely a lot easier to read when it's like its normal formatting. But thank you for sharing it either way. Like I said, though, please just let me tell you after stream, right? You can always like message me again in case I forget or whatever. Sure. Let's get a shot of this thing here. The answer fire item is a bright red fire. I need to check if either Giant's Flame or Blasphemous Fire, but it's 100% not normal fire. Oh, that's cool to know. I don't know which shot I like best, but cool. There we go. Let's see. Anything over there? Nope. A few days ago, I was in a conversation with someone who wondered if Azure was a ancient astrologer and Comet Azure was his first spell, founding the Conspectus from there. The Staff of Night and Flame was relevant to it. Yeah, I totally get that, but yeah, no, it doesn't seem that way. From what I can tell, Azure is more or less a how do I put this? I don't think the Academy is as old as I think a lot of people in the lore community probably think it is, right? I think the Academy is actually, like, I think, the Academy's only been around for only a little bit longer than the Carians have moved in and attended the Academy, if that makes sense. Like, I think it's a relatively recent thing. I think it was being used as a mine for glintstone for longer than it was actually used as a formal, Academy school. I think that probably happened later with Azure and his other boy. I think Lascar was basically just kind of informally doing it as its own thing, and the Academy just kind of grew out of their mining operation on the mountain there. What's your least favorite in the game? Mine is the Haley Tree and Mikola's Jihadists. My least favorite area in the game. Ooh, that's hard. Because I like all the areas, kind of. I'd probably say some of the underground stuff. I think Ansel might be my least favorite by virtue of I think it's the most boring in terms of, like, I think of Ansel and I don't think of any, like, the Ansel River. I don't think of anything special. Like, nothing really stands out to me as like, oh yeah, that's really cool. Like, and I know the area, right, with the ants and stuff like that, and I'm not saying like that isn't neat in its own way. It's just, it doesn't have a lot of really strong visual hallmarks that like really stick with you. I think the closest you get are that look you see of the ruins from up above, right, when you see the mudmen down there. I think that's the only time that you have anything where it's like, oh, that's kind of provocative. But it just doesn't leave a strong enough impression, I think, compared to any of the other areas in the game. My take was that Azure and Lusat wouldn't be given a conspectus each if the thing that got them banned was the first thing they ever did. Ronaldo would tolerate them too much for too long. Yeah, I would have to agree that, it would be kind of weird if that was the case. But I think the bigger reason would be that Azure and Lusat were already, they established the academy, they were doing their own thing. Renala comes in later, she becomes queen a little later after that, and then they get kind of pushed out and banned. And that's because they were already doing all that type of research and stuff like that. And then obviously Azure would have to go off on his own to complete that research, which results in Common Azure. Because we have to keep in mind, the whole point of the Common Azure spell, as its description elucidates, is to highlight how that spell seems to be like the result, the final, like, you know, kind of like the encapsulation of everything that he's been doing up until now, right? And it came with like great horrors for the great power. Azure probably got his green glintstone from the mine that leads to Altus. Ooh, I like that. I like that, Xavier. I like that. Yeah, I can see that. Because the mine there does have green glintstone. Is Lusat the blue one and Azure is the green one? I can't remember. I guess it has to be then, right? If that's the connection you're making. Because I can't remember which one's which. I can't remember which one has the big blue light bulb head. Oh, you know what? Let's take a shot from here. There. There we go. Me reading the insane amount of dead children it took to make Comet Azure. Wow, what a tragedy. Comet go brrrr! Yeah. Azure is green, Lusat is blue. Lusat, yeah, also known as bowling pin and bowling ball. Okay, that's pretty good. Whoever came up with that is a genius. Oh, I love it. Well, I did, so thanks. That's a great one. That's a great one, Night Scout. I really love that. Bowling pin and bowling ball. Oh my god, that's a lark. Ow. Nothing else really stands out, yeah. Okay, let's get out of here. Admittedly, this is one of the more boring ones, right? Because it's super simple in comparison. The big blue eye. That's another way to think about it. It's like the eye, not instead of the eye of Sauron, it's the eye of Lusat. Nicholas Cross here. I think we got a lot of what I would want. I have to double check how much I have for our red and blue pastures here. See if I want to get more. Oh, I don't think there's anything here that we wanted. Wasn't there there's a bunch of sheep here. I don't remember if there's a lightning lightning field of the, you know, the Fulgur blooms there. You're looking for the cave with the chief, right? Yeah, I was looking at that one earlier too. But I don't want the moveset of the chief right now necessarily, at least shots of it, but you know what, let's take a look. No, there's something we want at Mesmer's place first that I want to look at, right? Yeah, let's look at the Fire Boys. Let's go from here. Let's look at the Fire Knights first. And when they die, they crumple to pieces and sound like pins being knocked over. No, Pastor, no. Don't give me the image. I'm gonna die. Oh, I'm gonna die. You guys are gonna kill me. It's gonna be the death of me. Thorns! Thorns! I love thorns! Yeah. jump scared me, but he jump scared me when I was already scared by falling. It's like, you don't need to try so hard. I'm already terrified. I'll fall to my death. Death, glorious death. Oh, of course, of course. God damn it, Miyazaki. God damn it, Miyazaki. Well, that's not happening anymore. Well, I was wondering if maybe, because I would see it from up here, they would actually work harder to make the outside look, you know, good. Nope. If anything, it looks worse. Based on your limited understanding of each ending, rank them on worst to best, completely uncontroversial. I would not be able to rank them. I would generally say, like, I would put most of the endings on, like, a same tier for the most part. I really do feel like, Elden Ring is very much a multiple choice one. Like, there's no good or bad, because in my opinion, overall, except for the Frenzy. Unless, I guess, your philosophy is that everything should be destroyed, at which point, get yourself checked out. But, like, everything else pretty much seems to be, like, okay, we're just gonna unify everything to be, like, a certain order. I guess you can, yeah. Even with Ronnie's, it's technically that, when you boil it down. So, I with my limited knowledge, I wouldn't be able to rank them. It's sort of what you think is best. Do you want to be living alongside a bunch of dead people, right? A bunch of dead skeletons walking around as, like, normal everyday eagles? I don't know. Do you want to live with everybody's turned into a cursed, corrupted monstrosity or whatever? I mean, if everybody's a monstrosity, then no one's a monstrosity, am I right? So, like, again, that's where I really kind of stand. Yeah, look at that. Look at that red hair. Yep. Well, if you ever want to argue the red hair is just because of fire, this would definitely be a good example to use. There we go. Put Gold Mask on S tier, reasoning, don't elaborate. Hey, if Gold Mask doesn't elaborate, why should you? He's a man of few words, after all. But what if I want to be Chaos Soup? Well, you know what? I'm sorry to say, Xavier. I'm sorry to say. We have a place for you. It's called the Asylum. Or the streets of California. Nothing else here I'm really crazy about because we already have most of those shots, but we got the fire. I was surprised how good the lighting was for that fire night, if I'm being honest. I thought it was going to look real bad. Look at the Frenzied Flame ending again. I wonder if the Pillar of Fire is meant to be making a centipede sigil in the sky. I haven't done that endings, but I would have to look back. So I'd have to look back at the cutscene because I really don't remember anything about how the sky looked there. I just remember Erdtree burning and frickin' Frenzy Flame Man doing the Jeb Bush pose. Ancient Ruins base, nothing really crazy here. This just is kind of foreshadowing for what we eventually get to here. There are bears and stuff in this northern section, right? But I don't remember it being anything special. I like how Midra's moveset uses similar pose to the Frenzy Flame ending. Is that so? That's cool. Yeah, look at all those fallen trees and stuff, huh? Might be the reason why we find these guards here, but I guess the town is also a good reason. You know, now that I think about it, I don't remember seeing a lot of these flying guys around. Do we see a lot of them in the row upstairs? Mixed with a bit of the javelin. Only here, I think? Wow. I wonder if that has anything to do with being separate. It's like an adaptation or something. Huh. Makes you wonder how the hell a giant pillar like this falls over, but whatever. Yeah, I think with the boss dead, there's nothing really interesting here. I assume this place isn't supposed to be raining all the time. A lot of dead horn boys. Oh, this reminds me. The Spider Scorpion Ash note that Romina has been making them grow far larger than normal with the Ral Verdigris relation. Maybe the Scarlet Rot explains the mountaintop dogs? I don't think it no, I don't think it would explain the mountaintop dogs. I think the idea that they come from Caelid would still be the better explanation. Though if you want, you could always make an argument that the you could always make the argument that the what's it called? The Scarlet Rot existed in Caelid in the past, and maybe that's the reason why everything's so big in Caelid, if you want to go that direction, right? Sort of death and rebirth thing there. Rebirth as everything being big. I like how the merchant song that they play at the Three Fingers area plays in Midra's theme. Oh, that I don't even remember that. I remember it being like a very cool theme because it's so different from a lot of the others, right? Because they really lean into the violin. But you're right, that is very similar to what we see here with the merchants. So our favorite guy just kind of scratching away. All right, I think I'm gonna try to get a shot of these bears here at their shit rock-bound thing. And then we're going to be done, chat. Because I really need to start thinking about more specific stuff, if I want to, keep taking screenshots. I think I should, like, you know, take a break now. It's been like 2 hours. Reminder for the Nanaya profile shot? Sure, let's do that then last. Thanks for the reminder. Let's do that as the very last thing. It's the same, but it doesn't end. It just plays like the second or third to last note as it draws out. Oh, I'm gonna have to listen to it again because it's been a while. I remember that being one of the standout OSTs for me, though. I do love my strings. Alright, so if we're gonna go get Nanaya, let's get a shot of our Scratchy Boy. Oh, that's the wrong way to go to Scratchy Boy. Let's get a Scratchy Boy over here. In front of the shit pile. Do birds have a birds. Do bears have a thing where they scratch trees or something when they want it after they take a shit or something? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know anything about bear ecology, so that's good. Oh, but the other bear. Yeah, let's move. Yeah, let's see. Oh, that's fine if I don't care about having the other bear in the shot, yeah. That's good. There we go. Beautiful. Beautiful. Beautiful shit of the golden shit. Probably like cats to sharpen claws or something, since they apply bleed and all. Oh, that's true. I forgot about the bleed thing. Bears usually wipe their asses on trees instead. Good to know. Also TMI. Rolana's has strings too. Yeah, that's true. I don't remember Rolana's theme as much, though, but it's maybe because I was distracted by the actual boss. Yeah, there's nothing else here. Yeah, this is just Bear Forest 2.0 compared to Shadow Wolfus. Without the red bear here, it's kind of boring. I think the red bear was here. I think it was here in the... right? It was it here? Yeah, it has to be here, because there's too many enemies here. So it has to be red bear here, and the other red bear was over here, right? No. Here. Yeah. Or up here. One of those two. Yeah, it was up here, I think, yeah. Alright, let's go back to our favorite. Our favorite mansion. Our favorite little manor that doesn't let us explore the rest. I'm still pissed about this, right? Let me explore this whole map except for this area behind the manse. Someone mod that. That's the first thing someone should mod. There's a red bear there. Good to know. Has Renala and Erdtree warrior motifs. Yeah, was it Erdtree Sentinel specifically, or is that theme used? The theme's used more than just Erdtree Sentinel, right? I'm trying to remember. Erdtree avatars? People have checked it's an undeveloped space. Yeah, I know it's undeveloped. They would let us explore it if it was actually developed, but my point is that, come on, how can you do this to me? Yeah, okay, we have to get back up there. I think I should have gone the other way. Whatever. Alright, Chad, you ready to see how many times I die falling to... trying to jump over here while on ×5 speed? Even though last time we did this, I already established I shouldn't... I really shouldn't. Case in point. Yeah, I would agree. I think Midra's man should have been bigger. It's nice, and it's intricate in the way that there's so many layers to it, right? So they make good use of the space they have. Oh, that wasn't the direction I was supposed to run. Dumb Loki. But it's definitely one of those areas that I feel like I would have liked more. Especially considering, like, you see in the trailer and stuff, it definitely feels like I would have liked that you could have had more to it. Now, granted, is there enough lore to justify it? Probably not. But, like, I would have just liked to explore this place more, you know? See more rooms, you know, maybe a servant quarters or a kitchen or, you know, it's just stuff that makes... You know, I like it when From Software doesn't do the bare minimum to characterize their spaces, right? I like it when they're more like places I feel like I could actually live in. There we go. Alright, don't screw this up, Loki. Hey. Alright, so now we can definitely say that there is no possibility that I'm going to be missing out on anything. I don't know, she looked pregnant to you, chat? I don't know, that doesn't seem very preggers. But granted, she's been dead a while. You know? Not I! Murmurs Metal coming right here at the end to give me another laugh. Oh god, it's gonna be in my head now forever whenever I see Nanaya. Nanaya! She might be a little pregnant, though the robes are thick, trying to get the camera past her. Yeah, she's got a little bit of belly, but, you know, maybe she just really likes her Cheetos, you know? Death Knights have a theme that harkens back to Tree Sentinel and Crucible Knight theme too. Oh, cool. Oh, it's Crucible Knights. That's the one I'm forgetting. Yeah, so it's Tree Sentinel and Crucible Knights who use that song. Yeah, I think this is a good one. I don't think the other angle works. I think the hand blocks it too much. Is there any other details about her that we would like? Ooh, okay, there's the headdress thing. Frickin' pixelated hair. Wait, what the hell did... I saw something I don't think I should have seen. Okay, good. It's just her knee. It was just her knee. So it could be distilled from rotting. Yeah, it's possible. We also have to consider the possibility that she did give birth. It could be as simple as that. I love how they did her legs, but nothing else. She is just a legs and an upper torso. Honestly, she's not even really that. She's a legs, hands, and a neck. It's Shapiri! Gave birth to Shabriri. Never know, that could be it. Oh yeah, you can always deal with the possibility that she was lying, but it feels like a weird detail to kind of make a red herring, if you ask me. Like, it's like, oh, she has this whole thing with pregnancy. How's that tie into anything? It doesn't. I could definitely see the idea, though, that it ends up being, that Shabriri. Though, again, there then becomes a question of how did, if she gave birth to Shabriri, did Shabriri escape this woods and the Abyssal Mansion on his own? Was he old enough to do that? Or was he still a baby and one of the servants had to smuggle him out? Do we have any evidence to even support that, right? Because, as you guys have known, I've put forward the notion of Shabriri being one of the, what's it called? One of the wandering nomadic merchants, right? Who was corrupted and possessed by chaos. But I could definitely go with this idea that he's Nanaya's and Midra's child. Shabriri died and became a demon, obviously. Hey, you know, maybe. Maybe. You never know. It could be. Oh, you know what? I just thought about it. What if Three Fingers took Shabriri? Nanaya gives birth. The mansion's under attack. And the reason we can't go behind the mansion is because it was actually the escape route for the Three Fingers. The Three Fingers just curled up, took Shabriri in its little palm, and just hopped along, escaping from the mansion. Oh, God. And then raised him underground, next to a grave. Oh, my God. And, like, put in, like, the freaking messages in the grave just to show little Shabriri what he had to do when he grew up. And then he decided to slander random freaking gypsies. Maybe Shabriri slander was calling out the Hornstone and the massacre and they lied about him. That sounds weird then, because it doesn't make sense then how the nomadic merchants get sort of roped into all that then. Unless the idea is that he becomes part of the nomadic merchants, and then therefore, I guess, it's guilt by association with Marika. She's just like, okay, I can't risk any of you. No, that still sounds weird, though. Just explain the evil shit-eating grin. Again, I've said before, the evil shit-eating grin makes sense if you think about this context of, like, again, this is the context of him being a nomadic merchant, him basically slandering his entire clan, right? Would be that he gets locked down underground with everybody. They pluck his eye out for bearing false witness, right? You can't bear false witness if you can't witness anything at all, so they take out his eyes, right? And so, and then they obviously still resort to the frenzied flame, proving his point or whatever about chaos and despair and, you know, the world sucks and all that shit. And then, you know, by the time Marika and everyone realizes everything, they come down, it's too late. They open the gates and there's Shabriri, like, probably staring back at them with his vacant eye suddenly growing with the frenzy flame, being like, gotcha, bitch! And then, obviously, he's probably killed after that, but then, like, you know, everyone remembers in history about the terrible, evil, awful man who got the leg up on Marika, right? You see how evil he is? He even tricked our great and glorious god. Truly, him and the frenzy and all of their kind are awful and must not be trusted. I think a Three Fingers lamprey would be cool. Yeah, for sure. Anyway, chat, we got the shots that I wanted, so we're going to end things here. Again, I'm going to go say hi to my favorite boys out here. How you doing, chaps? Yeah, that's what I thought. Anyway, Three Fingers did a spin to win, escaping the banner. That'd be great. Woo! Did the spin Zaku. Anyway, maybe Shabriri was Nanaya's dad for all we know. Yeah, I think timeline-wise that might be a little weird, but yeah, possible. Again, like I said, we have Marika and the Horn Scent existing alongside each other for quite a while, so it's totally possible this whole Nanaya Midra stuff happens contemporary with the Shibriri stuff. Like maybe Shibriri could have been the father and Nanaya like comes in somewhere else or whatever. Anyway, that's completely separate though. I'm gonna be ending things now. Thanks so much. Hope you guys have a good one. Later. Bye-bye. Tomorrow's HSR, by the way. New patch. Come see it. I can't wait to gamball my life away.